Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the readings on her quantum interface display, her heart racing as she double-checked the calculations for the 100th time. The numbers hadn't changed. They couldn't change. What she was seeing defied everything humanity thought they knew about quantum entanglement. The underground facility at CERN hummed quietly around her, its massive quantum computer arrays processing data from the latest experiment. But unlike every other test over the past decade, this one showed something unprecedented. The entangled particles hadn't just transmitted information instantly. They had created a stable corridor through space-time itself. "James, are you seeing this?" Sarah called out to her colleague, Dr. James Harrison, who was monitoring the auxiliary systems. Her voice echoed slightly in the cavernous chamber. "I'm seeing it, but I'm not believing it," James replied, his Scottish accent thicker with excitement. "The quantum corridor is maintaining stability at 99.97%. It's like we found a loophole in physics itself." Sarah ran her fingers through her short black hair, a habit she'd developed during long nights of research. The implications of what they were seeing were staggering. While the rest of the world focused on conventional space travel and the slow march toward the stars, their team had stumbled upon something that could change everything. The quantum corridor they'd created wasn't just a transmission of information. It was a bridge through space itself. A bridge that, if their calculations were correct, could span light years in an instant. "We need to contact Director Walsh," Sarah said, already reaching for her secure phone. "This goes way beyond our original project parameters." Within hours, the facility was swarming with officials from various agencies. Director Emma Walsh, a stern woman with graying hair and eyes that missed nothing, stood before the main display as Sarah explained their discovery. "So what you're telling me," Walsh said slowly, "is that you found a way to create stable quantum tunnels through space. Tunnels that could potentially transport matter." "Not potentially," Sarah corrected, pulling up the latest test results. "We've already transported test particles through the corridor. The transfer is instantaneous, regardless of distance. We're only limited by the scale of our equipment." Walsh's expression remained neutral, but Sarah could see the wheels turning behind her eyes. They all knew what this meant. Humanity had just discovered something that could revolutionize space travel, and they'd done it completely by accident. "How long until other nations notice?" James asked, voicing the concern they were all sharing. "They won't," Walsh replied firmly. "As of this moment, Project Aurora is classified at the highest level. We're going dark." The next 6 months passed in a blur of activity. The facility was expanded, new equipment was brought in under the cover of darkness, and the team grew as carefully selected scientists from around the world were brought into the project. What they discovered during those months exceeded even their wildest expectations. The quantum corridors weren't just stable, they were scalable. With the right equipment, they could theoretically transport anything through them, from individual atoms to entire ships. But it was what they learned about the rest of the galaxy that truly changed everything. The first signals came in through their quantum sensors, traces of faster-than-light travel from distant star systems. The galaxy wasn't empty. It was teeming with civilizations, all using various forms of conventional FTL drives. Drives that, compared to what humanity had discovered, were like steam engines next to a teleporter. "They'll never see us coming," Dr. Yuki Tanaka, their theoretical physicist, said one evening as they reviewed the alien signals. "Their sensors are all calibrated for conventional FTL signatures. Our quantum corridors don't leave any trace they could detect." Sarah nodded, but her mind was already racing ahead to the implications. "We need to build something that can prove this technology works on a practical scale." That's when Project Aurora truly began to take shape. Not as a research initiative, but as humanity's first step into a galaxy that didn't yet know they existed. They would build a ship, the first of its kind, that could use these quantum corridors to travel instantly across space. The design phase brought its own challenges. Traditional spacecraft designs wouldn't work. They needed something that could handle the unique stresses of quantum tunnel translation. The ship would need to be small, agile, and incredibly sophisticated. "It's not about size or firepower," Sarah explained to the engineering team. "It's about precision, about being able to appear and disappear at will, to move in ways that should be impossible." As the months turned into years, the project expanded. Deep beneath the Swiss mountains, humanity's first quantum ship took shape. The Aurora would be unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. A sleek vessel barely 100 meters long, built around a core of quantum translators that could open corridors through space itself. But even as they worked, the signals from space grew stronger. More alien ships were passing through nearby systems, their FTL drives leaving traces that their sensors could detect. The galaxy was vast and full of life, and sooner or later, humanity would have to reveal itself. "We're picking up something new," James announced one morning, his face pale as he studied the latest sensor data. "A large group of ships headed toward our solar system. Their energy signatures suggest they're well armed." Sarah felt her heart skip a beat. They had known this day would come, the day when humanity would face its first contact with alien civilizations. But they had hoped to have more time. "How long?" Director Walsh asked, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. "At their current speed, 6 months, maybe less." Walsh nodded slowly, then turned to face the assembled team. "Then we have 6 months to complete the Aurora and prepare for what comes next. Humanity's first steps into the galaxy won't be as victims or servants. We'll show them something they've never seen before." As Sarah looked through the reinforced windows at the Aurora's quantum core pulsing with otherworldly energy, she couldn't help but smile. The galaxy thought they were about to find a primitive civilization, easy to conquer or subjugate. Instead, they would encounter something unprecedented, a humanity that had discovered the ultimate shortcut through space itself. The game was about to change, and only humanity knew the new rules. The Aurora took shape in the darkness, its quantum core casting ethereal patterns of light across the vast underground chamber. Dr. Sarah Chen watched as robotic assemblers carefully positioned the final components of the navigation array, their movements precise and deliberate. After 3 years of development, humanity's first quantum ship was nearly complete. "The quantum corridor generators are operating at peak efficiency," Dr. Harrison reported, his eyes fixed on the holographic displays surrounding his workstation. "Power distribution is stable across all systems." The ship before them bore little resemblance to the massive warships they detected crossing the galaxy, where alien vessels relied on brute force and conventional FTL drives. The Aurora was an exercise in elegance and efficiency. Its hull, crafted from metamaterials that could bend light itself, was barely visible even at close range. But it was what lay within that made it truly revolutionary. "Show me the latest test results," Director Walsh commanded as she entered the control center. Despite the late hour, she looked as sharp as ever, her uniform pristine. Sarah pulled up the data from their most recent quantum corridor trial. "We've successfully created stable corridors at distances up to 50 light-years. The Aurora can translate between points instantly, with no detectable energy signature." "And our visitors?" Walsh asked, referring to the approaching alien fleet they'd been tracking. 3 months out, James replied. "Their course hasn't changed. They're definitely headed for Earth." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. In 3 months, humanity would face its first contact with an alien civilization, one that clearly hadn't come in peace, but thanks to Project Aurora, they would be ready. The next few weeks saw a flurry of activity as final systems were brought online. The quantum core, heart of the Aurora's revolutionary drive system, pulsed with increasing power as engineers fine-tuned its output. Unlike conventional engines, it didn't push the ship through space. It simply created a corridor and stepped through it, appearing instantly at its destination. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, who had been instrumental in developing the quantum translation protocols, worked tirelessly to expand the ship's capabilities. "We've achieved something remarkable," she explained during one briefing. "The Aurora doesn't just move through space, it steps outside it entirely. We can observe without being observed, strike without warning, and vanish before anyone knows we were there." The implications of their achievement became clearer as they studied the approaching alien fleet. Their sensors, now enhanced by quantum technology, provided unprecedented detail about the invaders' capabilities. "Their ships are impressive, in a brute force sort of way," Sarah noted, analyzing the data. "Massive energy weapons, heavy armor, conventional FTL drives pushing the limits of physics. But they're like battleships in an age of stealth fighters. They'll never see us coming." As the completion date approached, Director Walsh assembled the core team for a final briefing. The underground facility, once a simple research center, had become a hub of activity as personnel prepared for humanity's first deliberate contact with alien life. "In 2 months, that fleet will enter our solar system," Walsh began, her voice steady. "They expect to find a primitive civilization, easy to conquer or subjugate. Instead, they'll encounter something unprecedented." She gestured to the Aurora, now fully assembled and undergoing final checks. "This ship represents humanity's greatest achievement, not just technological, but philosophical. We didn't build a bigger gun or a stronger shield. We found a completely new way to interact with space itself." Sarah listened as Walsh outlined their strategy. The Aurora would begin operations before the alien fleet arrived, gathering intelligence and preparing for all contingencies. Its ability to appear anywhere instantly, combined with its near-perfect stealth capabilities, would give humanity an unprecedented advantage. "We've detected at least 3 other alien civilizations passing through nearby systems," James reported, pulling up the sensor data. "All of them using conventional FTL technology. None of them have shown any sign of detecting our quantum corridors. That's our edge," Sarah added. "Every advanced civilization we've observed is focused on pushing existing physics to its limits. None of them thought to look for a completely different approach." The final weeks of preparation saw the Aurora's crew selected and trained. Unlike the massive crews required for alien vessels, the quantum ship needed only a small, highly specialized team. Sarah would serve as chief scientist, with James handling navigation and Yuki managing the quantum systems. Commander David Rivera, a veteran pilot with a background in theoretical physics, was chosen to captain the Aurora. "It's not about commanding the biggest ship anymore," he observed during training. "It's about being in the right place at the exact right moment." As the launch date approached, tension in the facility mounted. The alien fleet maintained its course toward Earth, unaware that humanity had completely changed the rules of space travel. The Aurora would be humanity's ace in the hole, a ship that could appear anywhere, gather intelligence, and disappear before being detected. "Final systems check complete," Sarah reported on launch day, her voice steady despite the historic nature of the moment. "Quantum core is stable. Translation protocols are ready." Director Walsh stood before the assembled crew, her expression serious. "You're about to take humanity's first steps into a galaxy it doesn't know we exist. Your mission is not to start a war, but to ensure we never become victims of one. The Aurora represents something new in the galaxy, not just a technological advancement, but a different way of thinking." As the crew boarded the ship, Sarah took one last look at the facility that had been her home for the past 3 years. They had created something unprecedented, a ship that didn't just travel through space, but stepped outside it entirely. "Quantum core online," James reported from his station. Translation protocols initialized. The Aurora hummed to life, its systems powering up silently. In moments, they would create their first tactical quantum corridor, stepping instantly into deep space to begin their mission. Humanity's silent revolution was about to announce itself to the galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same. The alien fleet materialized at the edge of the solar system exactly as predicted, their massive ships dropping out of FTL in a display of raw power that lit up the Aurora's quantum sensors. From their hidden position near Saturn's rings, the human crew watched in silence as 27 warships, each larger than anything humanity had ever built, began their advance toward Earth. "Quantum signature is holding steady," Dr. Sarah Chen reported, monitoring the stealth systems. "They have no idea we're here." Commander Rivera nodded, his dark eyes fixed on the tactical display. The Aurora, despite being barely 100 meters long, was about to challenge vessels that dwarfed it in size. But size wasn't everything, and humanity was about to prove it. "Analysis of their communication patterns?" Rivera asked, glancing at Dr. Harrison's station. "They're confident," James replied, his Scottish accent tight with tension. "From what we can decode, they're not even bothering with serious scanning. They think they're about to find a pre-spaceflight civilization." The alien fleet moved with practiced precision, spreading out in a formation designed to control vast sectors of space. Their technology was impressive. Conventional FTL drives pushed to their limits, energy weapons that could vaporize small moons, and shields that could withstand tremendous punishment. But they were looking for the wrong things, preparing for the wrong type of conflict. "They've launched scout ships," Dr. Tanaka announced from her station. 3 vessels heading for the inner system. Commander Rivera straightened in his chair. "Time to introduce ourselves. Dr. Chen, prepare a quantum corridor. Let's show them what they're really dealing with." Sarah's fingers danced across her console, the quantum core humming as it prepared to tear a hole in space itself. Unlike the crude FTL jumps of the alien vessels, which pushed through space-time like a bullet through water, the Aurora would simply step between points as if crossing a threshold. "Corridor stable," she reported. "Ready for translation." "Take us in," Rivera ordered. "Let's give them something to think about." The Aurora vanished from its hiding spot near Saturn, reappearing instantly between the alien scout ships and Earth. There was no flash of light, no surge of energy. One moment the space was empty, and the next the Aurora hung there like a ghost. "They've detected us," James reported, a hint of satisfaction in his voice. "Their scanners are going crazy trying to figure out how we got here." The alien scout ships reacted quickly, bringing weapons to bear on the mysterious vessel that had appeared from nowhere. But the Aurora was already moving, quantum corridors opening and closing faster than their targeting systems could track. "Message prepared in their primary language," Sarah announced. "Ready to transmit." Commander Rivera nodded. "Send it." The message was simple but clear. Earth was not defenseless, and humanity was not primitive. The Aurora demonstrated this point by executing a series of quantum translations that defied everything the aliens thought they knew about space travel, appearing and disappearing around their ships in a display that was part ballet, part precision military exercise. "They're attempting to lock weapons," Yuki reported calmly. "But their targeting systems can't handle our quantum translations. We're moving faster than their computers can process." The alien scouts began to retreat, their engines pushing to maximum power as they tried to reach the safety of their main fleet. But the Aurora followed effortlessly, quantum corridors allowing it to keep pace without expending any conventional energy. "Main fleet is responding," James announced. "They're launching fighters, a lot of fighters." Rivera smiled slightly. "Perfect. Dr. Chen, implement pattern Omega. Let's show them what quantum warfare really looks like." The Aurora's next series of movements demolished everything the aliens thought they knew about space combat. As hundreds of fighters approached, the ship simply ceased to exist where they aimed, appearing elsewhere in configurations that should have been impossible. "Their command channels are chaos," James reported, monitoring the alien communications. "They can't understand how we're moving. Their tactical doctrine is falling apart." The demonstration reached its climax when the Aurora executed a series of precise quantum translations that left it simultaneously appearing at 12 different points around the alien fleet, a feat that their sensors registered but their minds couldn't comprehend. Multiple quantum echoes holding stable, Sarah reported. They're seeing exactly what we want them to see. The alien fleet's response was predictable. They opened fire with their massive energy weapons, attempting to hit all possible locations of the human ship. But they were firing at quantum echoes, shadows created by the Aurora's revolutionary drive system. The real ship was already elsewhere, watching their confusion. They're pulling back, Yuki announced. Their formation is breaking. I think we made our point. Commander Rivera leaned forward. Send the second message. This message was more detailed, explaining in clear terms that humanity possessed technology the aliens couldn't match. The quantum translations weren't a trick or an illusion. They were humanity's first step into a new era of space travel, and any hostile action against Earth would be met with capabilities that their finest weapons couldn't counter. Fleet is in full retreat, James reported, watching as the massive alien ships began to turn away from Earth. They're transmitting on all frequencies, warning other ships to avoid this sector. The crew of the Aurora watched in silence as the alien fleet disappeared into FTL, fleeing from a single ship that had completely upended their understanding of what was possible. Humanity's first contact had lasted less than 6 hours, but it had changed the galaxy forever. Send word to Director Walsh, Rivera ordered. Tell her the test was successful. Earth is safe. Sarah looked at the empty space where the alien fleet had been, thinking about what they had accomplished. Humanity hadn't won through superior firepower or brute force. They had won by thinking differently, by finding a path that no one else had thought to look for. They'll be back, James said quietly. Not to fight, but to understand. We've just shown them something that changes everything they thought they knew about physics. Let them come, Rivera replied. But next time, they'll come as equals, not conquerors. The Aurora has changed the rules of the game. As the quantum ship turned toward home, its crew knew they had just written the first chapter of a new era in human history. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the most revolutionary power wasn't in the size of your guns, but in the ability to think beyond what everyone else believed was possible. In the 3 months since the Aurora's demonstration, the galaxy had erupted into chaos. Dr. Sarah Chen watched the quantum sensor feeds as alien ships from a dozen different civilizations prowl the edges of human space, each hoping to unlock the secrets of quantum corridor technology. None of them realized they were playing exactly the game humanity had prepared for. Another infiltration attempt, Dr. Harrison reported from his station aboard the Aurora. This time it's the Nexian Commonwealth. They're trying to slip through the asteroid belt with some kind of stealth technology. Commander Rivera didn't even look up from his tactical display. Let Echo Team handle it. Somewhere in the vast expanse of space, another quantum ship, identical to the Aurora in every way, materialized silently near the infiltrators. The alien vessel never knew what hit them as their systems were temporarily disabled by a precise quantum pulse, leaving them floating helplessly in space. That makes 5 attempts this week, Sarah noted, updating her logs. They still think the Aurora is one of a kind. The truth was far more impressive. While the galaxy had focused on the Aurora, believing it to be humanity's sole quantum-capable vessel, Director Walsh's master plan had been unfolding perfectly. Project Aurora had never been about building a single ship. It had been about creating an entire fleet. Director Walsh is ready to proceed with Phase 2, Rivera announced, receiving a transmission from Earth. All ships are in position. Sarah felt her pulse quicken. They had been waiting for this moment, when humanity would reveal just how far ahead of the game they really were. The alien civilizations thought they were dealing with a single revolutionary ship. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Quantum network is synchronized, Dr. Tanaka reported from her station. All vessels reporting ready. Commander Rivera stood, his expression serious. Begin the demonstration. Across the solar system, 12 quantum ships dropped their stealth protocols simultaneously. Each one was identical to the Aurora, each one capable of the same impossible maneuvers that had sent the first alien fleet running. They appeared in perfect formation, their quantum cores pulsing in harmony. "Broadcasting on all frequencies," James announced. "Let's show them what they're really dealing with." The demonstration that followed would be remembered for centuries. The quantum fleet moved as one, executing synchronized translations that defied physics as the galaxy understood it. They appeared and disappeared in patterns that looked like elaborate dance moves, each ship capable of being anywhere at any time. "Multiple alien fleets are responding," Sarah reported, watching the sensor feeds light up. They're retreating. All of them. The quantum fleet's revelation had exactly the effect Director Walsh had predicted. The alien civilizations that had been probing Earth's defenses, looking for ways to steal or replicate the quantum technology, suddenly realized they were hopelessly outmatched. But humanity wasn't done surprising them. "Incoming transmission from the Nexian Commonwealth," James announced. "They're requesting asylum." The message that followed was unexpected, but not entirely surprising. A group of Nexian scientists, impressed by humanity's achievement, were offering to defect. They wanted to work with humans, to learn and collaborate rather than steal. "They won't be the last," Rivera noted. Director Walsh predicted this too. "The smart ones will realize it's better to work with us than against us." The quantum fleet maintained its formation as more messages began pouring in. The galaxy's major powers, realizing that their conventional military might mean nothing in the face of quantum technology, were suddenly very interested in diplomatic relations. "They're starting to understand," Sarah said, reviewing the incoming communications. "We didn't build these ships to start a war. We built them to prevent one." The truth of Project Aurora was finally becoming clear to the galaxy. Humanity hadn't just developed a new way to travel through space. They had revolutionized their understanding of physics itself. The quantum fleet wasn't a tool of conquest. It was a demonstration of human ingenuity and foresight. "Director Walsh is implementing the next phase," Rivera announced. "We're going to start accepting diplomatic missions, carefully screened, of course." The crew of the Aurora watched as their sister ships maintained their positions around Earth. Each vessel was a testament to human innovation, a symbol of what could be achieved by thinking beyond conventional limitations. "The Garethian Empire is requesting a technology exchange," James reported. "The Stellar Concordat wants to establish formal relations. The academic collective is offering unrestricted access to their scientific archives." Sarah smiled. This had been the real goal all along, not to dominate through force, but to use their advancement to open doors. Humanity's quantum fleet had changed the galaxy's perception of Earth from an easy target to a civilization worth respecting. "Begin diplomatic protocols," Rivera ordered, "but maintain fleet readiness. Trust is earned, not given." As the quantum ships continued their synchronized display of impossible maneuvers, the crew of the Aurora knew they were witnessing the beginning of a new era. Humanity had proven they could defend themselves against any threat, but more importantly, they had shown they were worthy of being treated as equals. "The galaxy's never going to be the same," Sarah observed, watching as more diplomatic requests flooded in. "That was always the plan," Rivera replied. "We didn't just change the rules of space travel. We changed the rules of everything." The quantum fleet hung in space like a constellation of human achievement, each ship a reminder that sometimes the greatest power comes not from the strength of your weapons, but from the ability to think beyond what others believe is possible. 1 year after the quantum fleet's revelation, the Great Hall of the newly constructed Quantum Sciences Institute buzzed with activity. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the central podium, facing an audience that would have been unimaginable just months ago. Representatives from 17 different alien civilizations sat before her, their attention focused on her presentation about the principles of quantum corridor technology. "The key was never about forcing space to bend to our will," she explained, gesturing to the holographic models floating above the stage. "It was about understanding that space itself is more flexible than we imagined." In the front row, Director Walsh sat alongside ambassadors from the galaxy's major powers, her expression carefully neutral but her eyes bright with satisfaction. The plan she had helped orchestrate had succeeded beyond anyone's expectations. Commander Rivera, standing at his post near one of the Quantum Fleet's monitoring stations, watched the proceedings with quiet pride. The Aurora and its sister ships now served as both a defense force and a training platform, where selected alien scientists could learn about humanity's breakthrough technology under careful supervision. Another breakthrough from the Joint Research Team, Dr. Harrison reported quietly, approaching Rivera's position. The Nexian quantum physicists working with Dr. Tanaka have helped us improve corridor stability by another 12%. This was exactly what humanity had hoped for. By sharing their knowledge, carefully and strategically, they had turned potential enemies into eager collaborators. The quantum fleet ensured Earth's security, but it was humanity's willingness to cooperate that was truly changing the galaxy. The Garethian Empire is requesting permission to begin construction of their first quantum research facility, a young lieutenant reported. Under human supervision, of course. Rivera nodded. The process of sharing quantum technology was deliberate and measured. Each civilization had to prove their commitment to peaceful cooperation before being granted access to different levels of knowledge. The quantum fleet served as both carrot and stick, a reminder of humanity's power, but also a promise of what could be achieved through collaboration. "Tell me," Dr. Chen, one of the alien representatives asked during the question period, "why did humanity choose to share this technology rather than use it for dominance?" Many species would have chosen differently. Sarah smiled, remembering the early discussions with Director Walsh about this very question. "Because true advancement doesn't come from domination," she replied. "It comes from cooperation. Humanity didn't want to rule the galaxy. We wanted to help guide it towards something better." The quantum fleet had become a symbol of this philosophy. While its power was undeniable, it was increasingly being used for peaceful purposes, conducting deep space research, establishing new trade routes, and helping to maintain the growing network of quantum corridors that were revolutionizing galactic travel. The academic collective's latest data is remarkable, Dr. Tanaka reported during the afternoon session. By combining their understanding of conventional FTL physics with our quantum corridor technology, we're opening up entirely new areas of research. This was the real victory, not the feat of creating the quantum fleet, but what came after. Humanity had changed the galaxy not through force, but by demonstrating a better way forward. The quantum ships that had once inspired fear now inspired hope and collaboration. The Stellar Concordat has submitted their proposal for the Joint Exploration Initiative, James announced, reviewing the latest diplomatic communications. They want to combine their long-range sensors with our quantum corridor technology to map unexplored regions of space. Director Walsh stood to address the assembled representatives, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's achievement. "A year ago, many of you saw Earth as either a target or a threat. Today, we stand together on the brink of achievements none of us could have reached alone." The quantum fleet hung in orbit above Earth, its ships no longer needed as a deterrent but serving as a reminder of what was possible when a civilization chose to think differently. Each vessel was now staffed by mixed crews, humans working alongside carefully selected alien scientists and engineers, learning from each other. "We're detecting quantum corridor formations in the Cygnus sector," Sarah reported, checking her instruments. "The Joint Patrol Fleet is responding to investigate." This, too, was part of the new order. While humanity maintained control of the core quantum technology, they had established joint operations with trusted alien civilizations. Together, they worked to ensure the security and stability of the growing quantum network. To those who still ask why we chose this path, Director Walsh continued, addressing the assembled delegates, the answer is simple. The greatest power isn't in the ability to destroy or dominate. It's in the ability to create and cooperate. Humanity's gift to the galaxy wasn't just quantum technology. It was a reminder that there's always another way, if we're willing to look for it. As the conference drew to a close, Sarah stood with her colleagues watching the sunset over the Institute's grounds. Ships from a dozen different civilizations moved through the sky above, their quantum drives humming in harmony with the human vessels that had changed everything. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" James asked, his Scottish accent colored with wonder. "When we first created that quantum corridor in the lab?" Sarah shook her head, smiling. "We thought we were discovering a new way to travel through space. Instead, we found a new way to bring the galaxy together." The quantum fleet continued its eternal watch, but its ships were no longer weapons of war. They had become bridges between civilizations, symbols of what could be achieved when intelligence and cooperation triumphed over fear and dominance. Humanity had changed the rules of the game, and in doing so, they had helped create something far greater than military power. They had created hope for a better future, one quantum corridor at a time.